last video, we covered all the reasons why you want to learn Procreate for tattoo design. This video is designed to show you everything you need to get up and running in Procreate for the first time. This is going to be easy, so grab your iPad and Apple Pencil and let's jump into it. The first thing you want to do is just head to the App Store and go ahead and install Procreate. Now when Procreate opens for the first time, you'll see your gallery here, and this is all of my previous Procreate artwork stored here. But when you open it for the first time, this will pretty much be empty. From the Procreate gallery, this is the first screen you start with where all of your artwork is contained. If you'd like to start a new canvas, tap the plus sign, and then to make your own custom canvas size, choose this plus sign here. Now the first thing I'll change is pixels needs to change over to inches because I want to make an 8x10 canvas. For now, if you just want to make your first canvas, select inches. We have 8 and 10 for height. Now you'll see here that I have everything set to 300 dpi. This is the resolution of your canvas. You might be tempted to use a different number than this, like the lowest resolution you could possibly use would be 72, which will give you more maximum layers. But the problem with that is that you're going to have sort of a low resolution experience where your lines, they have a jagged edge to them instead of being more smooth. It makes every part of the process a little bit more difficult, and it makes the final render that you're able to do a little bit less resolution, so it doesn't look as good. This could be fine, and if you have an older, slower iPad, consider lowering the resolution number, but I would say as a standard, go with 300 for this. You'll see here with this 8x10 canvas, I get a maximum layer count of 141. And this will go down if I make the canvas bigger. So if I change height to 20, now I can only have 68 layers. So this starts to show you how different iPads are affected differently by the amount of storage space, not the hard drive storage space, but the processor power that you purchase with your iPad. So let's make that 8x10. We'll have 300 dpi, 141 maximum layers. Sounds good. If I'd like to go ahead and name the project, I can do a title right here. I could do this later too. We'll just call this Procreate Basics. Some other settings that you might think about. Color profile, you can pretty much just leave that at what it's automatically set to. It's at RGB and the first profile is selected. I don't really get into this a lot. This comes into play more if you're thinking about printing your artwork out, making prints of your artwork, then that's when you would want to switch to potentially CMYK, and you can go down a whole rabbit hole there. But for now, just keep it on what it's automatically set to. Time-lapse settings. Now, Procreate can export a time-lapse of your artwork process. It's pretty cool, and you might want to share it on social media. You might just enjoy looking back at it. If you ever want for that time-lapse to be a higher quality, then you have to set that up at the beginning of the project. So the way to do that would be to choose something like 4K and lossless. If you went with those settings, then your time-lapse will be a much higher quality. The downside is, of course, the file size and the processing and the storage needed to handle that file is going to be much larger. This could cause performance issues if your iPad's not ready for it. It could just overall be a little bit of a problem. So if you're not really all that intent on this time-lapse being something that you show off to the world, maybe just go ahead and leave this at the standard 1080p and low quality, or try the middle setting there, good quality, studio quality. All of these could be the right thing for your situation. Canvas properties here, not much here. You can decide if there's a background color and what color that is. It's going to default to white, or you can decide if you want the background totally hidden or not. I just leave it like this and hit create. All right, let's start with a quick overview of the Procreate interface. One of the first things that I'll do is open up the layers palette here. And right now we don't have very many layers, but we do have the background color layer. I can go ahead and tap on this white square here and change the background color to a neutral light gray, something like this, to represent the idea of skin tone, which is not necessarily accurate to my client's skin tone, but is nicer than having a pure white sheet of paper to work on. And doing it this way allows you to change the background color at any point in design to try out different backgrounds. This brings us over to the color picker, which is this puck at the top right, currently set to black. Now the classic color picker here under disk looks like this, and you can get to white by double tapping on this side or black by double tapping on this side. and this will give you pure black or pure white. If you're in the middle here, then you're going to be right in the center of a neutral version of the color selected here. So as you turn this around, you can see the selected color is changing. Now let's say we want to dial in a very bright red. Now right here with the puck in the middle, this is sort of an even mix of middle gray and red. But if we slide this all the way over to this side, this is going to be the brightest version, the most intense version of that red that we can get to. If we'd like to start adding some white to that red, then we move this way towards white. Now we have something that's more of a warm pink. And if we wanted a dark version of that red, then we might find that over here. And over here is going to be pure grays, so there's not really any of that red in it. This is just all the way on the edge is going to be the range of grays. So this is the standard disc color selector. There's some other options in here, such as this classic, the color harmony, which allows you to try out different color schemes. Lots of fun there. And this value slider, which is a little bit more of a technical way to get to specific colors and dial them in. I use this one, the disc color selector, quite a bit, but I also use the palettes, and this is where I have all of my favorite Eternal ink colors saved in different palettes. And I also have a skin tone palette that we created, and I have this neutral, warm, and cool gray palette that I use quite often. So if you want to get some palettes like this, we can help you out with that. Stick around. There's going to be a nice free giveaway section in this tutorial, and we're going to share these with you. So let's say you want to select, and I know this is Eternal's Tangerine right here. You can actually switch over to the card view, and you can see there Tangerine. So you can select light red, or you can select Tangerine, hot chocolate, dusky mauve. Let's go to Tangerine. So we've got Tangerine here, and the next thing we'd want to do is head over here to this paintbrush icon and open up our brushes palette. Now Procreate comes with a number of brushes included. I've got a few of them here. You'll see I have a gazillion different brush sets because I work with Tattoo Smart, and we have made so many different brush sets. You know, over the years, I've just really filled up my iPad with these things. When you open Procreate for the first time, yours won't look like this, but you will have these categories like sketching, inking, airbrushing. I've been moving them around because you can actually pick up, tap, and then you can drag it into a new spot. So you can organize your brushes in this way. Also at the top, you'll have the most recently used brushes will start to arrange themselves right here in this recent category. I have a custom brush kit that I use all the time. It's just called RA Brush Kit. And these are some of my favorite liners, some of my favorite shader options that I will also share with you guys. So let me just go ahead and move to a brush that I would recommend trying first. That would be in the sketching category that's included with Procreate. Let's just try the first one here. It's called Peppermint. So this brush, it's pressure sensitive. With a light touch, it's a little smaller and a little lighter, and if I press harder, the mark gets bigger. Now over here is the brush size, so I can turn that down a little bit. It gets really small. Turn it up all the way, and that's the biggest that this brush can get. I'll use this gesture to pinch zoom and get close so you can see. Now a lot of brushes will be set so that if you turn them on their side, you get a different mark, and this one's doing that. So you can turn it on its side, it gets much wider. And then you can also adjust opacity using this slider. So this is 100% opacity, and then if I turn this down, it's going to take a lot more. You can barely even see that. Let me turn it up a little bit. So this is going to be a lower opacity setting. So you can mess with turning the opacity up and down, and you can mess with turning the size up and down. Now let's say you want to get rid of all that. This is the eraser tool, and you can change the settings of your eraser tool. One that I'll use a lot is under the airbrushing here, and it's called soft brush. And I can see that's a little bit too small, so I'm going to raise the size, and now I can begin erasing. Okay, so there are some other buttons over here which we'll cover later. But the main things that you need to learn right now and just mess around with are the brush library. So explore all of the brushes that are just included in Procreate. Try different brushes out and see what they do. Just have fun with it. Play around with changing the sizes, changing the angle of your brush. See some of the textures that you can get. Mess around with changing the opacity. Just get in here and explore. Find something that you want to play around with and just sketch something. right? That's all you need to do at first. Just get in there and do something. And once you kind of have a sketch and you like the way it looks, maybe you want to change the size of it. So tap this arrow and make sure that you're set to uniform here. Turn off snapping. So it should look like just like this. And drag the corner handle and you can resize. Grab this little green puck here and you can rotate, resize, rotate. Pick it up with your finger. You can pinch and zoom to resize it as well. Very intuitive, very easy. Let's put that little rose where we like it. Let's say we don't quite like the shape of it. We can hit Distort here and we can start to move it around, like do all kinds of crazy stuff with it until we like the shape a little bit better. You can head over to Warp and you can pull it around like this. Tap this icon to get out of that. Now let's say I totally hate that, because I do. Two-finger tap is going to undo all of those changes. So let's just go back to uniform here and change the size, make it a little bit smaller. I want some more room so that I can add some leaves. I'm going to put my handy drawing glove on here so my hand's not so sticky. Great. So once we're happy with the sketch, we can rename this layer. Just tap here and click rename. The on-screen keyboard comes up and we can just call this sketch. Easy enough. Tap the plus sign to make a new layer, and now we can go ahead and bust out a nice clean line drawing. So I'll go back over to the disk color selector and double tap over here to get a true black. And just using brushes that are included with Procreate here, we'll go over to the inking category and look for the technical pen, already selected. A little bit too thin. Change the brush size. Still a little bit too thin. Test the line weight. Yeah, that's pretty good, I guess. I'll go ahead and start lining this sucker out. And one of the things I noticed right away is that this brush is showing every little wobble and every little kind of problem that is coming out of my hand. And there's an easy way to adjust that, and this is really going to improve the quality of your line work. So head on over here, and before you adjust a brush, you might want to just swipe and tap duplicate. So now I have technical pin 1, and I can tap on it, come over here to the brush studio where it says stabilization, and I can increase the amount of streamline. Let's try it at 50%, and then we might also try stabilization around 50%. Let's see what that does. Okay, that is really, really smooth. I'm enjoying working with that a lot better. Overall, I think this brush is just a little bit too thick for me. There we go. Oops, I made the classic mistake. I didn't create a new layer. All of that time is wasted, unfortunately. But I can just hold down 2 fingers and undo all of that. It goes back 250 steps. So let's not ever make that mistake again. What we want to do instead is create a new layer and call that layer lines. If we want to be sure we won't accidentally draw on our sketch layer, we can swipe on that layer and tap lock. And now this lock symbol appears, and it's impossible now to draw on that layer. So that's a good practice to have. So on the outline layer, I'll go ahead and do that outline once again using the technical pen that I've added stabilization and streamline to. Okay, there we have a nice standard basic simple traditional rose design. And we can turn off our sketch layer and just see our outline all done there. So let's say we are ready to just print this stencil out and tattoo it. Let me show you how to do this. So the first thing we want to do is change our background color back to white. Very simple to do it that way. You could also just turn the background off entirely, and now we just have a transparent background back there. But with the background white, we should be ready to print. Now we know that this is an 8x10 canvas, and so our design is roughly, I don't know, maybe say 6.5 inches wide at its widest right now, just relative to that 8x10 canvas. So we kind of have an idea what the size is, and that could work just fine. If you just want to kind of wing it and guess based on the size of a sheet of paper, then that's probably the easiest thing to do. To go ahead and share this to your printer, tap on this wrench icon and then go to share. And now from here you want to share an image. I recommend sharing a JPEG, and you could take this straight over to the printer if your printer comes up here, but what I'll usually do here is save this image. So you pull it up from your camera roll here, and there's an icon right there. Looks like a square with an arrow pointing up. If you tap on that icon, now you have this selected, and then you can go ahead and send it to a printer right here. Just select print, and you should have your Wi-Fi set up to a wireless printer, something like that in your studio. It's going to be different for everybody. Okay, so now any printer that you have on your Wi-Fi network is going to show up here, and you can select how many copies you want to print and then go ahead and print it out. From there, you create a stencil as usual. Now I also have an app to suggest for printing your stencils. The app that I use is called Tattoo Print System. This is made by Corey Ferguson, who designed the amazing tattoo design app Geometrica, which you might want to use if you like geometric tattoos. But Tattoo Print System is super easy to use. Once you open it up, you can select from your photos, choose your image, and you can change the print size here. So if you'd like to just measure the design to your drawing, what you do is you select measure to drawing, and now we can actually just tell it exactly how tall and how wide we want it to print out, and it will help us do all the work to make it work that way. So let's just say that we wanted to print this rose, say 20 inches wide. Now it's going to be 20 inches wide by 22 inches, which is obviously not going to fit on one sheet of paper. But as you go over here to print, it's going to figure out how many pages. It's actually going to be 9 total pages that it will take to print out this rose that big. So I use this a lot for sleeves and back piece designs. But just to give you an idea of how you can use that, let's say that you want a more reasonable print size for this, which would be something like, did I just print that? I think I might have just sent that to my printer. Oh my god. Image source. So you've got your image source here. You can pull it in from clipboard, files, or photos. I've already pulled it in from photos. Head over to print size, measure to drawing, which is great. Let's change it to, let's say, 5 inches wide. So now we'll have it 5 inches by 5.5 inches. Perfect. Go ahead and click print and send it over to the printer that I have on my network. We'll go ahead and cancel that. All right, so that's it for creating your first sketch and outline and printing out to make a stencil. In the next video, we're going to cover everything that you need to know to do a quick value study using only shades of gray. That's the next step in the process, so stay tuned, keep practicing, and we'll see you soon.